Welcome back to Patch Math, where today we are going to continue to discuss compound interest. So if we're solving for A, these problems are just simplifying the right-hand side, easy, done. Already did a video on number 2. But if we're solving for any of these other variables, okay, P is kind of easy to solve for, I'm not gonna lie. But R and N and T, those variables are hard to solve for, and then do require upper level Algebra 1 skills. So that's why I want to go ahead and give a video just in case you are doing compound interest and suddenly it takes a left turn and you're like, okay, I could solve for A and P, but R N T, what am I to do? Looking at number 3, I'm going to go ahead and start with some more problem skills here. It kind of helps us be organized. I am a thorough person. Read, read again, because sometimes I don't even absorb it all until that third read through. So take a moment and take that in. And we are going to go over the number one thing that we need to read on this problem. And that's identify what it's asking. It's going to provide us with information. Yeah, sure. We don't know what information is valid until we read what it's asking. And this word problem is asking for what period of time did you invest? So what are we finding here? We are finding T. We're having to solve for T. All right, just making a little note of that. We have to solve for T. Now we need to find the other information that's going to help us solve for T. If you don't remember the compound interest formula, here it is. Artifact from my other video. And I'm going to go ahead and bring the simplified version on down. That means we are solving right here. All right, so the supporting information that will allow us to solve for T. Well, we find that our principal, the initial amount invested, we'll go ahead and just color code here. The principal, the initial amount invested is $201. All right, then we have our rate. Always remember, we are converting this to decimal form. In decimal form. All right, and then we are compounded annually. That's the best N there is. So N is how many times it's compounded per year, and that's an N of 1. The reason I say that is because it allows R over N to just become R, and it also allows N times T just to become T, making our lives just a little bit easier. And then we find out that A is $309. That's the amount we get after we get our interest back, the total amount in our bank account after the period of time we are about to find. So now we're going to go ahead and substitute all this in. All right, plugging in that 309.26. And zoom whiteboard, you're great. The decimal point, though, with the dots makes it confusing, so I'm going to bold those. We have our principal of 201. Multiplying by that, 1 plus. In this case, R is 9%. We will be writing that as 0.09. And again, that is a decimal point there. I'm going to bold that a little bit. N is 1 here, the best N there is. And this is equal to 1 times the time. The time is what we need to find. And I did not mean to rhyme there. I keep rhyming. All right. So 1 times time. I'm just going to write like that. We're going to go ahead and simplify what we can. So we simplify according to PEMDAS. All right. And then just write the rest in. And T is right there by itself in the exponent. So we are solving for an exponent T, which is kind of unique. And if you've not seen equations and multi-step equations in a while, or you're new to either of those topics, this is the hard version of that. This is a hard multi-step equation. We have simplified almost completely. We can simplify what's in that parentheses, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. One plus 0.09 is 1.09. And there we go. Order of operations say that parentheses and exponents have to be dealt with first before we can multiply. That means we cannot bring this 201 into the parentheses at any point. All right, earlier today when I hadn't seen this topic in like a couple of years actually, that's the first thing I did is I tried to distribute it in. Then I was like, wait, hold on, that's not right. So even teachers make mistakes, especially when our skills get rusty. And I just wanted to point that out. If I'm making that error, chances are at some point as a student, you're going to make that error too. So in this case, we have to solve. We cannot simplify anymore. And solving essentially says we do the opposite operation of how the number is attached to the variable. So since we're doing opposite operation, we must do opposite PIMDAL. So I like to tell my students we do the opposite operation equally on both sides of the equal sign using opposite PIMDALs to guide us. That is addition and subtraction. That means we deal with them first, we peel them off first, and then we do multiplication and division, then exponent, then parentheses. All right. You do have some flexibility to that, but if you are new to this topic, I highly, highly recommend that you follow opposite PIMDALs. In this case, we can't deal with that exponent, we can't deal with that parentheses. We have to deal with the multiplication on the outside, and we will deal with that by dividing it off. Opposite of multiplication is division. We do the opposite operation equally on both sides of the equal sign. These reduce to 1. 1 times anything is whatever is multiplied by that 1. So that's exactly what we wanted. Over here, just type that into your handy dandy calculator. All right, and this is what you get. That's a complicated looking number. Not gonna lie. I just went ahead and copied and pasted it from my calculator. So I'm interested to see where this will go. So we know that is equal to 1.09 raised to the t power. So on this one, there's a variety of ways to do this problem. What you are trying to do is figure out how you can write the 1.538, this number, as 1.09 raised to what number? I would just test things. Let's just do it. There is another way to do this, but where these are decimals, like, okay, bear with me for a moment. If, side lesson, if you're my students, you know I love these. Rather than learning this topic with a nasty decimal, let's just look at something that we may be a little more comfortable with. In this case, that's a 2. That does not look like a 2. That's a 2 raised to the t power. And so 2 raised to the t power, we've got other ways we could do this problem, like algebra level skills. But I'm going to tell you, guess and check is going to be the easiest here. You're trying to figure out, how can I write 8 with a base of 2 raised to what power? So 2 to the first power is 2. 2 squared is 4. And ding, 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 we have a winner. 2 cubed is 8, because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. We're going to use that same logic over here. Use your calculator. So let's make sure this is showing up. So 1.09 raised to the, this is Desmos. I love Desmos. It's a great calculator. I've realized I got the search bar cut off. This is Desmos calculator. Give them the credit. I use Desmos for a lot of things as an educator. Anywho, 1.09 raised to the second power is, we're getting close, but not at 1.09 raised to the third power. Maybe, no, I think we're in the right direction. 1.09, or keep on keeping on, we're not there yet. But we're getting close. Ding, 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 we have a winner. In this case, T is equal to, if we're going to write it, that this number right here can be written as, 1.09 raised to the fifth power. T is equal to 5. Check yourselves. Take a moment, take that back in. And did we answer what period of time did we invest? Yes, we did. 5 years. We invested for 5 years. And there we go. Thank you so much for your time.